Hello, dear friends. Here we are. 40 nights with the Promised Consoler. The 40 nights with the Promised Consoler is a promise. Yes. And this is precisely night 16. Quite interesting. And here we are. Chapter 6 of the book Contos e Pontos, by the beautiful teachings of our dear Humberto de Campos, in the book Contos e Apólogos, not yet in English though, but coming about. This is our message every night, and believe it or not, tomorrow, Sunday, March the 12th, we're completing 120 days, 6 months, continuously being here live, sharing the messages of the spirits, the illuminated minds with everyone. You know, it just so happened, we didn't even notice, and it's gonna turn 6 months. Can you believe it? I cannot believe it myself. We've been doing this together and building this beautiful journey together. Put it in a paper. For people who go to physical spiritist centers, if they go like once a week, how long is that gonna take for them to do it 120 times? It's gonna be quite a while, right? If it's only once a week. We've been doing this every day for 120 days, non-stop. Thanks to the mercy of God, we've been able to do it. And it's so interesting because tonight we didn't plan it, but the message we're gonna talk about is really dividing the waters of our lives in our hearts. What does that mean? It's called the blessed spur. We call it the blessing in disguise in a way, though the actual title is the blessed spur. Let us read it, but before we do it, yes, Valéria Benfica, it's a real gem of the soul. It's like we're like Michael Phelps, the great swimmer. He's from Baltimore, so he's inspiring us to swim across the waters of our hearts, right? Trying to be more coherent, working hard and making efforts to walk the talk. Shall we? Why not? Because as Kardec asked the spirits, why the rush if we're all gonna get there? And they said, because the sooner you get there, the happier you'll be. Ta-da. And that's the big deal for us. Don't you think so? We think so too. So let's say hi to the beautiful community, because we're together in this gem of the soul, sharing the good news with everyone in our lives. It really makes a difference. Did you know that the discarnate spirits who are with us, okay, this is interesting. The discarnate spirits who are with us, who live with us, they may be benefiting from this. So let's say you and I have at least 2 of them, of the many in our spiritual network, with us now. How many are being benefited from it? Remember in the book And Life Goes On, or Sex and Destiny, even better, when Moreira learns from the transformation of the incarnated friend, Claudio changes. Through his own suffering, he learns Spiritism, and through learning it, his spirit friend Moreira has a change of heart. He also changes his thoughts and his ideas. It's simply fascinating. I'm always quite happily surprised about the thought that we're not only benefiting ourselves. If you are in your home right now, no matter where it is in this world, and you think, oh, it's during the night or during the day, during the morning, early morning, late in the night, midday, I'm alone, nobody else is with me. No, no, no. Besides the good spirits that are helping us boost this therapeutic journey, we have the loving testimony, the cloud of testimonies, as Paul of Tarsus used to say, with us. And they are not only witnessing it, but they are being benefited from it. Wow. Valeria, thank you for being here. Andrea Torres, it's great to have you here as well. Erica and Denny, hello friends. Grazi, how are you in your beautiful new life there? I hope you are enjoying. Thanks for being here. Sunshine, it's so good to have you here too. Many blessings. Beautiful Ceisa, how are you? Yes. Adilson, love is everything, right, Adilson? Constance Franklin, how are you? Melissa, how are you, Melissa? And Sunshine is there, sharing with the group Spiritism in Nevada County in California, okay? The Bay Area, right? Patricia and Tiago, how are you? Thank you, Constance, for your beautiful words. Angelita, friends, are you ready? Jefferson, how are you? And Monica, hola, buenas noches. Directly from Argentina, right, Monica? Am I right? You wrote to us yesterday. You're very welcome. You too, Jefferson. Let's be ready, friends. This message tonight, I think, goes to the core. To the core of probably the questions we've been asking all along in our lives. You know, we constantly think that the day we achieve a certain level of healing, you know, this and that is going to be different, that we shouldn't waste our time with too much words, blah, blah, blah. So let's see it. Okay, Andrea, that's interesting. You're saying your obsessors walking with you, now they can listen. You see, everybody learns, including, I call them amiguitos. Because deep inside, we have connections. They have this spoiled love. They love us so much. They want to be with us, persecuting us, putting us down. And we are asking them, please forgive us, because we didn't know any better, but we're going to make it right this time. Right? All right. So Sunshine is clarifying. She's in Nevada City, Nevada County, in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Thank you, Sunshine. Forgive me, or I didn't know. See, I didn't know any better. Thank you, thank you. Chapter 6. Let us visualize Humberto de Campos describing the scenario to us. Visualize a blank screen, project the movie, because this is a true account. Very descriptive. Verbal, non-verbal lessons. Answering to certain questions by Simon Peter. In the simple apostolic group of Capernaum, Jesus explained solicitously, with devotion. These are Jesus' words. Above all, the good news aims at the victory of fraternity. Our Father expects that the people of the world get closer to one another and that evil be forgotten forever. It is not fair that individuals fight against each other on the pretext of exercising an unjustified dominion over the assets of life, of which we're all mere usufructuaries. Thus, let us operate against envy, which sets the fire of greed, vanity that triggers madness, and selfishness that isolates the souls among themselves. Naturally, the great transformation will not come from the unexpected. Let us sanctify the verb that anticipates the realization, the accomplishment, in the well-led thought and in the earnest prayer. We will receive the energies indispensable to the action that we are to develop. Patience in teaching will ensure success of sowing. Faithful hope will reach the divine kingdom, and our word, coupled with the love that helps, will establish the empire of infinite kindness over the whole world. There are shadows and diseases everywhere, as if existence on earth were a stream of stagnated waters. However, it is imperative to recognize that if we renovate the source, the adequate solution to the great problem manifests itself. When the spirit is restored in its lines of purity, its manifestations become sublimated. Due to the natural pause spontaneously made by the Master, Peter intervened, asking him, "Lord, your affirmations are always the images of the truth. I understand that the teachings of the good news will extend happiness to the whole earth. However, don't you agree that illnesses are terrible scourges to the individuals? What if we heal all diseases? What if we provided lasting relief to those who suffer afflictions of the body? Don't you believe that this way we would lay safer foundations for the kingdom of God?" Then Philip added somewhat shyly, "Great reality. It is not easy to focus on our ideas on the high spheres, the greater world, when physical suffering bothers us. It is almost impossible to meditate on the problems of the soul when the flesh remains afflicted with ailments." The other companions expressed themselves as well, supporting the plan of integral protection for the suffering. Jesus let the serenity reign again. Praising piety, Jesus communicated to his friends that for the sake of experience, all of the sick would be healed before preaching on the very next day. In fact, on the day after, since its early morning, the celestial physician welcomed by the apostles, he placed his miraculous hands on the sick of all kinds. In the course of a few hours, more than 100 people were released from scabies, cancer, rheumatism, paralysis, blindness, obsession. The sick went into the improvised cabinet in the open air in low spirits, and they returned joyfully. As soon as they regained a glittering look and were restored to joy, tranquility, and movement, Peter made fraternal invitation to the banquet of the truth and light. The Master would speak briefly about the beauty of eternity and the glory of the infinite. We would show the love and the wisdom of the Father and unveil divine horizons of renewal. Unlocking secrets of heaven so that people would make a bright path of elevation and perfection on the earth. However, the joyful beneficiaries moved away quickly amidst hasty phrases of gratitude and apologies. Some were eagerly expected in the domestic environment, and others claimed to be interested in resuming certain vulgar occupations in an urgent manner. After the last healing, the vast bank of the lake only counted on the presence of the Lord and the 12 disciples. An unpleasant silence descended on the small assembly. The fishermen of Capernaum addressed a significant look of sadness and disappointment to the Master, but the Christ spoke compassionately. Peter, study the experience and keep the lesson. Let us relieve pain, but let us not forget that suffering is the creation of the individuals themselves, helping them to become enlightened for the greater life. And Jesus concluded, expressively smiling, the sick flesh is healing medicine for the poisoned spirit. Without the blessed spur of bodily infirmity, it is almost impossible to lead the human flock from the earth's mire to the summits of paradise. This is the lesson. This is the lesson that is given to us today by Humberto de Campos. For those who are not aware, let us not forget that our dear, you might be quite surprised, right? You'll be surprised, especially in the current world, when people think a lot about healing, healers, and they focus so much, let's do the healing. If people get healed, they're going to believe. No, they won't. The healing of the body is not the pathway. But let's go back. Where did Humberto de Campos get this message from? Because it's valid. If you're here for the first time, you may be asking, where did he get it from? Everything we do, we say, we feel, and we think gets to be registered. First, by our own selves, in our own mental camera, and it stays in the records of our spiritual body, the perispirit. But it stays also in the ether of the universe. There is a camera constantly at us. Everything is recorded. As Jesus said yesterday in the message, the notebooks, everything is going to be recorded, registered in our own lives. That's where it's going to be registered. And it does. But Humberto de Campos, in the book, the preface of the book, The Good News, that we've studied already, he says that he participated and was participating in the schools of the gospel in the spiritual realm. He was there. And can you imagine what do they do in a school of the gospel? What do they do? And he says at the end of that very book, the preface of the book, becoming a gospel-driven soul. He uses the word evangelized, but that means the good news becomes our aim, our goal. That's the objective of the study in the schools of the gospel. They're not studying to become preachers or priests or ministers. No, they're studying to elevate themselves. Right? Hello, Lisdélia. Welcome and abraços. Enléa Severo, Antônio Henrique, welcome friends. So how about, think of this, friends, of the opportunity that we have of studying for our own elevation. And some people, I know even some spiritists who say, oh, but Vanessa, that's fanaticism. You know, come on, we're on the earth. Yeah. But you know, as far as I know, gravity is gravity. Whether you want to play jumping up and down from a little chair to the floor or from a high mountain to the floor, gravity is the same. We don't play with it. We don't play with fire. We don't play with life. We feel the joy of living, but a joy of living knowing that we're not here to be hedonists. We're not here to find pleasure, the fulfillment of pleasures, because they are passing. Joy of living is something completely different from the pleasures of the senses. In our brain, we could make that distinction. As a neuroscientist, I've been meditating on this, and Mentor Joseph, of course, always helping clarify. What is the difference between the joy of living that Jesus promotes and proposes? That's his greatest proposal with the good news. The joy of living, right? Versus the fulfillment of the pleasure through the senses of the physical body. They are very different. The joy of living comes with, let's say, a pinch of discernment. Discernment comes, it's not only about the sensorial pleasure, it's about this inner cherishing of life that comes through reasoning. It's when feeling and reasoning are together. And when reasoning comes along, it needs cortical experiences versus the five senses of the body. When you eat, for example, chocolate, that's the stimulation of the senses, pleasures through the stimulation of the senses. There's nothing wrong about it, but there are people who live for it. Touch, sexual pleasure. They live by the visual, stimulated visually. And not necessarily you need discernment to feel that pleasure. Why? Because it's connected mostly through a relay in our midbrain that we call the thalamus and the limbic system. You don't need prefrontal cortex areas for it. So discernment may not play a role. Then this could be done well by any animal, not only us as humans. And Jesus here in this proposal, he's asking us to give it a pinch of discernment. That's why the healing of the body is not enough. We need, first and foremost, the healing of the soul. And disease becomes the ultimate filtering of the vibratory disturbances. Okay, go back, Vanessa. Too much for once. Let's go back and bit by bit rebuild the thesis. Shall we, friends? The goal here, as he said, is the victory of fraternity. Jesus is saying. The proposal of the good news, the victory of fraternity. Fraternity is the joy of living with one another, our relationships. That's very interesting, isn't it? Where are we in that regard? If the aim of the good news, the Jesus proposal, is fraternity, how fraternal are we? Scale 0 to 10, since this is a therapeutic conversation, 0 to 10, where are we? 0 to 10, 0 being not fraternal at all, and 10 extremely fraternal. Where are we? Fraternity is about what? Caring for one another, love for one another. Remember the song? Yes, the song. Because we were sent by Jesus to the earth to serve God and to help one another. Right? Yeah? Welcome, welcome, dear soul. Now you're here reincarnated. Let us grow. Let us love. Let us serve. Let us help everyone. Welcome, welcome, dear soul. And I'm here to love you so. Is it too hard for us to feel it? Do we look down on people we don't know? The other day I was talking to somebody whom I don't know much, but it's a person that I know through Virginia School. This person is not a spiritist. And it doesn't matter if the person is or is not. But it's a different system of living. It's that feeling of like, I don't need to know you and talk to you. And I feel sorry. And I feel sorry. And the person came to me and was talking about makeup, etc. And I'm listening. I respect. But then the person mentions about other material things. And I'm like, okay, that's the interest of the person. Send me the link. I'm going to look into this. It's not my goal, but you know, I respect the fact that for that sister in God, she is focused on this. And it doesn't hurt for me to look into that. Let me learn with it. Fraternity. Competition, no good. And there are people who are living by competition. Fraternity is the way to go. I'm not going to be less if people do something ahead of me. Right? Jesus was never concerned to be number one on the earth. If he's our guiding model when he taught us that it's not important to be number one on the earth, why are we going to be focused on this? Many parents get very confused and distraught in themselves by the fact that they are not assuring their children the first place in school and everywhere else. They keep reinforcing on it. There is no fraternity there. How do you think you could customize your life around this proposal of aiming at the victory of fraternity in your life? What do you need to do today to make sure you achieve it? Charity on all levels, says Sunshine. Rudy is kindly reminding us of chapter 23 of the book Thought and Life, titled Assistance. Thank you, Rudy, too. What can you do in your life, practically speaking, to make sure that you achieve the victory of fraternity in your relationships? Are we being fraternal with our child, with our spouse, with our father, mother, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, cousins? Are we being fraternal with the people at our work? Are we being fraternal with people that we encounter when we're driving? Etc., etc. And Jesus keeps saying, we're supposed to build bridges between nations. And here we are, through this beautiful tool of Facebook, thanks to Zuckerberg and his team, we're here building bridges amongst nations. That's the goal. And evil shall be forgotten forever. Somebody did something wrong, plan, 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 erase it. Leave it be. And he says, it's not fair that people fight each other to exercise an unjustified dominion. And he says something, we need to break it down. He says, because they're disputing assets of life that actually is given them temporarily because we are God's usufructuaries. If we go to the root of the words usufructuary, it's from the civil law, and it's broken down in two elements: usus and fructuary. And it's about when you are given something temporarily and you can profit from selling it, knowing that it's not yours and it's not going to be yours forever. So if we know everything, how many people are disputing positions? They're disputing books. They're disputing copyrights. They're disputing ideas of things that don't belong to us. It's so silly. It's like, this book, you want this book? Go ahead, keep it. It's not mine either. Look at Chico Xavier. Let me give an example. He psychographed all these books, right? Thought and Life, the books we're reading, and others. He never kept any penny for him. He could have. He could say, well, we have a spiritual center, we have bills to pay, blah, 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 blah. He never did. What did he do? He gave it to organizations like the Brazilian Spiritist Federation and others, guided by the spirits, knowing that these organizations would be securing the copyright, but not to keep for themselves, to make sure that they are diligent enough to spread the word by selling. But the goal is not to make money out of these books to sustain any organization. After all, mediumship comes freely and shall be free as well. This is a major insight. It's a big no-no. I cannot, and I shall not, and I must never count on the profit of the selling of any of these mediumistic books to sustain anything. If I do it, when the spirits say mediumship shall be free because it's given freely, he's not saying only by the individual, by organizations as well. by organizations as well. And our Spiritist movement needs to be fully aware of it. It's sacred, and we cannot do it. We can sell them. We can use the money to reinject in the organizations, but not count on it as the source to sustain it, because then it's not free any longer. No wonder Chico gave all of the books to others. I know we're probably talking about something that is prohibited zone, but you know, Jesus said we have to be courageous, and here we are. We have to be courageous to realize things that are need to be realized. We are usufructuaries, and if I am fighting against others because of the copyrights of these books, then I am incurring in a major mistake. I will regret it. Chico himself never did it. Why would we? Did I tell you that part of this book, Ceifa de Luz, not yet in English, was told by somebody? Have you ever heard Chico saying anything? Publishing in a newspaper saying, somebody stole it. So why we're saying this? Because of the next thing Jesus says. Let us operate against envy that sets the fire of greed. Envy and greediness together. Vanity that creates madness. Read the book 2,000 years ago by Emmanuel, and we'll see Fulvia. That lady, with all due respect, she is the stereotype of somebody who is so vain that at the end of her life she becomes mad, crazy, psychiatrically ill. But read the book and see her journey. It's the journey of many people on the earth. No emotional management, no awareness of their emotions. They go into a cascade of events in their lives driven by their vanity. At the end of their lives, it's pure madness. Selfishness that isolates our souls amongst themselves. Unfortunately, we're living at a time in which it's valid to be selfish. Valid. People think, yeah, I don't want to give it. It's mine. It's mine. For example, the United States of America is a beautiful, promising country. And there are people trying to destroy the promise by keeping selfishness and saying, we're better than the others, and we're going to seal our borders so nobody gets in, only us, blah, 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 blah. But who are we? We're a melting pot. And we isolate ourselves. And the problem is, we create enemies. That's not good. Great transformation will not come from the unexpected. Why is Jesus saying that? Great transformation comes from an effort, he's saying. We need to sanctify the verb. Some people, Jesus reads our minds. We're like expecting that things are going to change out of the blue. One day we're going to wake up and our lives are going to be transformed like this, unexpectedly. And Jesus very kindly saying, I'm so sorry. But it doesn't happen that way. Great transformation needs effort. That's why the next thing, and he puts the bar high. He says, let us sanctify the verb that anticipates any accomplishment. Remember the passage by James when he talks about the tongue? And the tongue nowadays means texting, WhatsApping, Facebooking. That's the verb. Sanctify it. How do you think we can sanctify our posts on Facebook? What is to sanctify? is to elevate it. Before we do anything. And that's why he goes back 2,000 years ago. He already talked about this. A well-led thought. So he was already telling us about thought management. Nobody tells us about it, but Jesus did. Manage your thoughts. Manage to the point that you are going to pray. And pray, pray. So you receive the energies for the accomplishment of things that you need to do. Exactly. And patience in the lessons to ensure sewing. The other day I was watching this interesting cartoon with Virginia. I want to know more about what she was watching. And there is this cute little character that wants to gain a trademark about something special, a talent that she has. She's so anxious about the talent that she doesn't know that she have, that she starts eating stuff that thinks is like magic, and she gets what they call cutie pox. She starts having all these cutie marks, trademarks in her body, several talents. It's like a syndrome. And of course, at some point, they get to reverse it all. And at the end of the cartoon, the teacher comes and explains. It's so interesting. They explain, it's so interesting. Patience. You forgot to work on your patience. How are we doing regarding patience? You and I. Patience. Patience of our own, in our own learning. You know, I observe toddlers. They don't have too much patience. They start doing something, they say, I want to do it. My turn, myself. I can do it by myself. They start doing it, they see they don't have the motor ability or the knowledge, and they like are frustrated right away, like, I can't do it. You say patience. Patience. That's why Mentor Joseph asked me to tell the following story to Virginia about the banana. A yellow banana. She was alone in the world. And she wanted to have more friends like herself. Other yellow bananas. So she prayed and asked God, God, can I have other yellow banana friends? And God very kindly said, sure. You get some of your own seeds, spread them out, plant on the soil, water it, and allow the sun and time to let it grow. So she planted it, put some water. 1 day, 2 days, the third day, she was like praying again, saying, God, I don't see anything coming. God smiled to her and said, wait, banana, wait. It's gonna happen. Put some more water and you see the sun's gonna help it grow. It's coming from the soil of the earth. And then one day she sees something green sprouting out of the soil. And she's like excited, but it doesn't look like a banana. And she sees it growing, 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 but never turning into a banana. It turned into a tree, a banana tree. She prayed again and said, but God, a banana tree? No bananas? He smiled again, said, patience, banana. Remember, it takes time. Keep watering, and the sun's gonna make it grow. The bananas are gonna come through the tree. And then she sees first the flowers, and then little green bananas. She's sad and frustrated. She prays again to God and says, God, I don't get it. I asked you for yellow bananas like me, but you're giving me little green bananas. And it's so interesting that he smiles again and says, patience, my dear banana. Remember, they're gonna come out as yourself. And then she gets so tired, she forgets a little bit about it. She sleeps and minds her life. One day she turns and she sees lots of yellow bananas smiling at her, inviting her to play together. And that's for us too. Patience. Take it easy. Wait. It's gonna happen. Take it easy, banana. Right, friends? Hello, Célio and Adilson sharing with us. These books belong, as we were talking about the books, to the whole humanity. Me too, Melissa. The story is so interesting, so simple, but at the same time, so funny. So true, right? Yes. Thank you, Adilson, for making this comment. These books are an asset to humanity. It's said that we'll have this awakening as soon as we get back to the spiritual realm. That's why I love the preface of the Gospel according to Spiritism. Short but straightforward by the Spirit of the Truth, like an immense army setting out upon receiving its orders, the spirits of the Lord, who are the powers of heaven, have fanned out over the entire face of the earth. Like failing stars, they have come to illumine the way. Thank you. Beautiful, Adilson. What a reminder. Right? Melissa, patience, banana, patience. So we should tell ourselves, patience, banana. I love bananas. My preferred fruit. So banana is banana. Thank you, Constance. Thank you. So Jesus is adorable. He tells us to be patient. He tells us that we should be focused on this hopeful, this faithful hope, and combine word with love for kindness, to establish the empire of infinite kindness over the whole world. Stop for a moment, visualize it. Remember our dear Emmanuel, feel the good, visualize the good, visualize it. Jesus is saying, the empire of infinite kindness over the whole world. Infinite kindness. Empire of infinite kindness. But where does it begin? Peace in the world, kindness in the world begins with me. If I have love, certainly I'm happy, right? Peace for our children, kindness for everyone. Kindness, 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 kindness. Friends, and always thinking of others before ourselves. Thinking of others before ourselves. How can I possibly keep this message to myself and to my friends, and only to a few, knowing that the world doesn't have it? Sometimes people ask me, but Vanessa, why do you work on this teaching so much? Because they saved my life. If I didn't have Spiritism, I don't know where I would be today. Because as a medium, I don't find any framework that can educate myself better than this. As a human being and a child of God, I don't find any more rational explanation about life that boosting me the encouragement to be better every day. Why am I not going to share this with others? I wish I could learn all the languages of the world. If I had a wish, is to create a mechanism to translate this very quickly into all the languages. Because I have friends in other cultures. I remember my first friend in this country, 19 years ago, a Moroccan neuroscientist. She came to our first English-speaking meetings in 2002, the year after we started it, and it brings tears to my eyes. As a Muslim friend and a neuroscientist, she came to the meetings because we were doing this in English. I remember when we, in our group in Virginia, years ago, we're turning 10 years of the center in Virginia this year. And I remember clearly when we had a member, she's no longer here now, but she was Persian and she got to know Spiritism. Through her, we've got to know of a beautiful organization that allowed us to use the space for years before we actually got to the place where we are today, which was a Persian art school. They knew what we were doing. They opened their doors for us. Because we're speaking in English. Because if we were speaking in Portuguese, they wouldn't be able to come. When we do this in English, we're not doing this for a few Americans. We're doing for the whole world. Because that's the language of the world. And we wish we could translate in every single language for everybody right now. But if we do a little bit, each day, we can get there. Right? Constance, I hope you come here. Friends, Rudy, yes. We need to be fraternal and think of those. If I am living in Brazil, we do Spiritism in Portuguese. Because if we do it in Chinese, it can be beautiful, but people, the majority of the country won't learn it. If we are in Colombia, beautiful Colombia, in Spanish. If I do it in Japanese in Colombia, maybe beautiful, but majority of the people in the country are not going to know. If we're in the United States of America, it has to be either in English or in Spanish. Sorry, but not in Portuguese. Yeah, it's a broken record, but that's what it is. Fraternity is about forgetting about our needs and reach out to the needs of others, right? Thank you, Constance, for your kindness. Thank you. Peace in the world begins with me. If I have love, I know I'm truly happy. Right? Paz pela paz, peace for peace, paz por la paz. Right? All the languages. As Paul of Tarsus said, all the languages so people can understand. Without understanding, we cannot go places. Great transformation does not come from the unexpected, Jesus said. Jesus then goes on and says to us that when we purify our spirits, our manifestations become sublimated. And you know, the root word of the root of the word purification means selflessness. When we come out of our selfishness, we become selfless. Everything becomes sublimated because we're thinking of others before we think of ourselves. Does it make sense? Probably, right? Now, in spite of it all, they're thinking, but if we heal people, people are going to understand it. If we heal people. And Jesus, what an educator. What a fraternal soul. They need to experience to see it. Seeing is believing, unfortunately, for many people. In this case, they saw it. Yeah, healing the body, healing the body, healing the body, healing the body. And then when Jesus wanted to give them the word of truth for the deep healing, they fled. It happened to Jesus. So if it happens to you, don't be discouraged. Well, we are here working in the Spirit Center and people come and go and they never stay. Well, but it happened to Jesus. What do you expect? Right? But at the end of it all, Jesus has the ultimate lesson. He says, Peter, and he's telling us the bananas. At least to me. Vanessa, my dear banana, study the experience and keep the lesson. I'm going to keep it. Where? My heart. Keep it here. Tum tum. Tum tum. Stay there, lesson. Tum tum. Tum tum. Stay there, lesson. Keep it. We keep it. But he's saying, let's relieve pain. Oh, yes. People come there crying. They need the passes. They need a medication. Right, Joyce? Our dear doctor, Joyce Magalhães. We give them the medication. Relief. Remember, consolation is about relief as well. But, he says, let's not forget the suffering is our own creation. The creation of the individuals, helping them to become enlightened for the greater life. Sickness of the flesh is healing medicine for the poisoned spirit. How did we get to poison ourselves? In the book Evolution into Worlds by André Luiz, when he was asked this question, he answered the mechanism. He says, when we make a grave mistake, that information that stays stored in our perispirit is going to be stagnated, creating a nodule, he says, a knot, a vibratory disturbance, like a crystallization that stays in our perispirit and can only be filtered out through the contact with the physical body. Thank you, physical body. Thank you for being a beautiful filter for me, filtering out my disturbances. So when I get to know the physical body is not doing well, oh, my dear pet, I'm so sorry. You have to go through this to help me. But thank you for taking the trash out. Thank you for helping me harmonize myself. Thank you. And I kiss myself. No, you got cancer. Don't imagine yourself fighting against it. No, envelop the cancer cells in love. Visualize a beautiful heart enveloping those areas that are painful. It's painful. It's an arthritis. It can be cancer. It can be a cold. Thank you for filtering out. Visualize a big field of love, because this body is helping us. Harmonize ourselves is the healing medicine for the poisoned spirit. Because we didn't know better. Look at Jesus. Father, forgive, because they didn't know. They don't know what they are doing. How often we don't know? We poison ourselves with bad thoughts, bad feelings, bad words, bad actions. And then at the end of the day, the beautiful pets, the trillions of little cells, they're helping us resolve these crystallizations that are created in our perispirit. Thank you, Jesus, for this beautiful lesson. And let us sing, friends, as a mechanism of rejoicing, joy of living. After all, Jesus said the good news is here for us to achieve this ultimate kindness, fraternity towards ourselves, the cells of the body, everyone, but with sincerity, the truth, with kindness. Kindness in the world begins with me. Let's borrow a little bit of this beautiful tone by Nando Cordel, right? From Brazil. A paz do mundo começa em mim. Peace in the world begins with me. Kindness in the world begins with me. If I have love, I know I'm truly happy. Right, friends? Let us be grateful for the blessing of this that is in disguise, the blessed spur that is renewing us and promoting new health, true health. My friends, tomorrow we come back, chapter 10 of the book Contos e Apólogos. But if you don't have the book, don't worry, we're gonna be here together. And together, forever, you stay in my heart and I will love you. Beautiful night. Until later, today.